When people step into management, especially for the first time, they usually think the job will be about making good decisions, setting direction, and maybe motivating people. What they don't expect is how much of the time will be spent untangling confusion that shouldn't exist in the first place. Today, we're going to tackle one of the best systems for sorting out those messes. Think setting up complex projects in a way that drives itself. By the end of this episode, you will know exactly how to do this. And the best thing is that this system is used by some of the world's most renowned consultants, so no one will question when you decide to use this tool in your own company. My name is Marcel. I'm a chartered manager with over 20 years of experience in running projects. I know that often they stall, deadlines slip, and frustration builds, not because people are incapable, but because nobody was ever clear on who actually owned what. And when ownership isn't clear, people either step to each other's toes or wait around, hoping someone else will move first. And that's the gap that RACI fills. Despite the way it's often presented, RACI isn't a complex framework or a corporate ritual. It's simply a way of forcing clarity where organizations naturally drift into ambiguity. And to really understand why it works, it helps to strip away all the job titles, departments, and buzzwords and look at something almost embarrassingly simple. Who does what? And that's the deconstruction. So imagine you're setting up a lemonade stand, okay? It's going to be your business, and so you're the ultimate shot caller. You've got a few people helping you. Everyone means well, and the goal is straightforward. Get the stand running without confusion, stress, or unnecessary arguments. Now, most managers would instinctively start by saying something like, "We're launching a lemonade stand." And that sounds reasonable, but it's also the root of the problem. Because launching a lemonade stand isn't work, it's intent. Work only starts once you break that idea down into concrete action. You need to decide where the stand will go. You need to buy lemons, you need to buy sugar and cups, you need to build the stand, make the lemonade, actually sell it. Once you list all those things out, the project stops being abstract and starts becoming manageable. And this is where RACI really truly comes in. RACI stands for responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. 4 words that sound obvious, but when used deliberately, they remove an enormous amount of friction. Responsible is the person doing the work. Accountable is the person who owns the outcome. Consulted are the people whose input improves the decision. And informed are the people who need updates, but not involvement. The order matters, but accountability matters most. Let's take the first task, okay? Choosing a location. Someone has to actually walk around, observe foot traffic, and decide where people are likely to pass by. Let's say Alex does that. Alex is the one putting in the effort, so Alex is responsible, but Alex doesn't own the final outcome. If the stand ends up hidden away and nobody buys anything, that decision doesn't land on Alex's shoulders. It lands on yours. Now that makes you accountable. Along the way, Sam might be asked for input because Sam has a good sense of busy spots and timing. Sam doesn't get to decide, and Sam doesn't run the task, but her perspective improves the quality of the decision. Sam is consulted. Jamie, meanwhile, just needs to know where to show up tomorrow morning. Jamie doesn't need to be part of the discussion or hear the debate. Jamie is informed. Now, what's important here isn't the labels themselves, but the boundaries they create. Everyone knows where their responsibility starts and where it ends. There's no guessing, no overlap, and there's no silent assumption. Now, move on to buying the ingredients. This is a different task, so the setup changes. Jamie goes to the shop and buys lemons, sugar, and cups. Jamie is responsible. You're still accountable because if the stand opens without sugar, the problem doesn't belong to the person who stood at the checkout. It belongs to the person who owned the outcome. In here, Alex might be consulted this time to estimate how much lemonade you're likely to sell or you don't over or underbuy. Sam doesn't need to be involved at all, beyond being kept in the loop once everything's ready. And again, notice how deliberate the exclusion is. This isn't about cutting people out, it's about respecting the time and attention. When it's time to make the lemonade, responsibility shifts. Again, Sam takes the lead, mixing, tasting, adjusting. Sam is responsible. You remain accountable. Alex might be consulted if customers start giving feedback, and Jamie just needs to know when it's ready to sell. The same structure repeats, even though the people change. The repetition is the point. RACI isn't about creating a perfect plan. It's about creating a shared understanding that prevents the most common failure mode in group work: assumption. Without clarity, people assume someone else is handling it, or they hesitate, unsure whether it's really their place to act. RACI removes that hesitation. It replaces, "I thought you were doing that," with, "I know who owns this." There's one rule inside RACI that matters more than all the others, and it's the one that most managers struggle with. Every task gets exactly one accountable person. Always. The moment you assign two, you don't get shared ownership. You get delayed decision and quiet conflict. Accountability here isn't about power or blame. It's about knowing who makes the call when time or pressure forces a decision. And this is where many managers hesitate. They worry about upsetting people, appearing controlling, or damaging relationships. So they soften accountability into something vague and shared. And ironically, that's what creates tension. Clear accountability feels uncomfortable up front, but it prevents resentment later. The whole point of having a tool such as RACI is to use a universally acknowledged tool that actually works. A lemonade stand is obviously simple, but the dynamics don't change when the projects get bigger. The same patterns show up in product launches, in cross-functional initiatives, and transformational programs. Too many voices, unclear ownership, and a lot of activity that doesn't quite turn into progress. Another mistake managers make is over-consulting. Consultation is valuable, but involvement is expensive. If your consulted list keeps growing, decisions slow down, meetings multiply, and momentum dies. Being consulted doesn't mean being included for emotional comfort. It means your input materially improves the outcome. And if it doesn't, the persons should not be on the list. Then there's the informed category, which is often misunderstood or ignored altogether. Informed how you maintain transparency without dragging everyone into everything. These are the people who need updates, milestones, and outcomes, but not the debate. If everyone is involved in every discussion, calendars fill up and attention disappears. Informed keeps people aligned without overwhelming them. It's a pure FYI basis. One subtle but important point is that RACI isn't a document you create once and then forget about. All projects evolve. What made sense at the start may not fit halfway through. Responsibilities shift, risks change, and priorities move. RACI works best when it's treated as a living agreement rather than a static table. There's also a deeper lesson here that most new managers only learn the hard way. Empowerment without clarity isn't empowerment, it's abandonment. Telling someone they own something without defining boundaries, expectations, and decision rights doesn't make them feel trusted. It makes them feel exposed. RACI makes empowerment real because it removes ambiguity. In our example, there's no point sending Jamie to store without telling him the amount of money that he can spend. At its core, RACI is boring. There's nothing inspiring about it. And that's exactly why it works. Execution doesn't need excitement, it needs certainty. When people stop guessing and start knowing who owns what, well, things move. They move faster with fewer arguments and far fewer surprises. It's like a Volvo of systems, perhaps not the most glamorous of all cars, but it can do a million miles without letting you down. So the next time you kick off a project, resist the urge to say, "Oh, we'll just collaborate and figure it out." Instead, slow things down just enough to say, "Okay, here's who owns this, here's who contributes, and here's who stay informed." And then watch how quickly the noise drops and progress picks up. Your job as a manager isn't to be busy or inclusive for the sake of it. Your job is to deliver outcomes, and RACI, used simply and consistently, is probably one of the most cleanest tools you have to make that happen. If you found this episode helpful, I have a favor to ask you. Please subscribe and comment how you ended up as a manager. It helps me to reach others and build a community of managers that actually discuss real life challenges. I'll see you in the next one.